Imagine this. You post something you actually put effort into, a project, an idea, a photo, a piece of work you were proud of. You check it 5 minutes later. One comment. Then you read it, and your stomach drops. Someone criticized you. Maybe it was harsh. Maybe it wasn't even that bad. But suddenly, your brain latches onto it like it's the only thing that exists. You reread it. Then you reread it again. You start typing a reply, delete it, type it again. And that's when reality hits. You know you should let it go, yet somehow you can't stop thinking about it. It replays in your head at dinner, it replays in the shower, it replays right when you're finally about to fall asleep. One sentence from a stranger, or worse, someone you know, and your whole mood for the day has been hijacked. You tell yourself the same thing you've told yourself 100 times before. I won't let it get to me next time. But here's the strange part. While you're spiraling over one comment, there are people who seem completely unbothered. The founder who gets torn apart in the comments and posts again the next day. The athlete who gets booed and still shows up to train. The creator who reads harsh feedback, nods, and moves on like nothing happened. You've probably wondered, how are they doing it? Do they just not care? Were they born with thicker skin? Or is there a hidden mechanism behind criticism that most people never learn? Today, we're going to uncover the truth, and the answer is probably not what you think. Because the goal is not to stop caring what people think. The goal is to change what criticism does to your brain. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid criticism entirely. But what if the real problem isn't the criticism itself? What if the real problem is how your mind is wired to process it? Think about it. Have you ever received 10 compliments and one piece of criticism and only remembered the criticism? Of course you have. Have you ever seen someone shrug off brutal feedback that would have destroyed you? That happens too. So clearly there's something deeper going on. And there is. Your reaction to criticism isn't really about the words someone said. It's about what happens inside your brain in the 3 seconds after you hear them. Every single time you're criticized, your brain runs a hidden process. Not random emotion, not weakness, but a carefully wired survival response that's been evolving for thousands of years. Most people have never been taught how it works, and because they don't understand it, they let it control them every time. Let's start with the first thing you need to know. When you're criticized, your brain doesn't process it like information. In many ways, it treats it like danger. It runs the exact same alarm system your ancestors used when facing a physical threat. One part spikes your stress hormones. Another narrows your focus onto the attack. One shuts down calm, rational thinking. Another makes the moment feel bigger and more permanent than it actually is. It's like a smoke alarm that can't tell the difference between a house fire and burnt toast. It goes off just as loud either way. But here's the catch. That alarm only controls you if you let it run the whole show. Every instant reply, every spiral of overthinking, every "what did they mean by that?", every replaying the comment on loop, all of it feeds the alarm instead of turning it off. Imagine a smoke detector going off, and instead of checking if there's a real fire, you just scream louder and louder in a panic. That's exactly what many people do to their minds every time they're criticized, and then they wonder why they feel wrecked for the rest of the day. The truth is simple. Criticism is not an attack on your worth. Criticism is information with a volume problem. And how you handle it is what determines your confidence, not the criticism itself. That's why some people hear harsh feedback and feel almost nothing. They've turned down the alarm, while others get flooded by it every single time. And once you understand how this works, you'll never look at criticism the same way again. So let's break down the system used by high performers, leaders, and people who consistently stay level-headed under feedback. The first principle is the pause. And this one sounds boring, but it might be the most powerful confidence upgrade you'll ever make. Most people think the reaction to criticism is instant and automatic. It's not. Your brain has a gap, tiny but real, between hearing something and reacting to it. That gap decides everything: your tone, your decisions, your self-image, even your relationships. When you react in the first 3 seconds, your alarm system is driving, not you. Your response comes out defensive, hurt, or lashing out. It's like handing the wheel to whoever just scared you. Now imagine doing that every single time someone gives you feedback. No wonder it feels exhausting. Try this right now. Think of the last criticism that stung. Feel it for a second. Notice the tension in your chest. Now pause. Just breathe. Don't defend, don't explain, don't replay. Just breathe. Do you feel that? The shift? That gap, those 3 to 5 seconds, is where your power lives. Most people skip it entirely. They go straight from sting to spiral. But if you can stretch that gap, even a little, everything changes. When you build even a 5-second pause before reacting, something incredible happens. Your rational brain comes back online. The alarm quiets down faster. Clarity arrives. Your response improves. Staying calm becomes easier. Not because you're forcing it, because you gave your brain time to catch up. And that's where real confidence begins. But the pause alone isn't enough. There's another hidden factor most people ignore, and it has everything to do with the source. Have you ever noticed that some feedback rolls right off you, but one specific comment destroys your whole week? That's not random. It's because your brain weighs criticism based on who said it, not just what was said. A stranger's random comment and a mentor's honest note get filed the exact same way if you don't separate them. Some critics have context, some are just venting. Others are projecting their own insecurities onto you. The magic happens when you sort the signal from the noise. But when you treat every comment as equally important, your brain feels overwhelmed. Psychologists call this negativity bias. Most people simply call it misery. This is why one honest note from someone who respects you can matter more than 50 random comments from strangers. The person who filters gets useful growth from the one comment that counts. The other person gets crushed by all 50 equally. Suddenly, it's not just about receiving criticism, it's about sorting it. And this leads us to one of the biggest mistakes modern life has normalized, treating every opinion as equally valid. A close friend's concern, an anonymous troll's insult, a coworker's offhand remark, all absorbed with the same weight. But your confidence doesn't work that way. Criticism isn't something you're supposed to accept from everyone equally. It's a filter that determines whether feedback builds you or just drains you. Your growth tomorrow depends on which feedback you actually let in today. Your self-image tomorrow depends on which voices you gave power to today. Your relationships tomorrow depend on how you respond to feedback today. Your decisions tomorrow depend on whose opinion you trusted today. In many ways, tomorrow's confidence begins before you even reply, which brings us to the next secret. So you have the pause, you have the filter, but there's one skill that makes all of this work, and nobody talks about it. It's identity separation. The ability to say, this is feedback about my work, not a verdict about my worth. Most people can't do this. They hear, this could be better, and their brain translates it to, you are not enough. Same words, different meaning. When you separate what was said about your work from what you decide about your worth, criticism loses its power. It becomes data, not a threat. Data. That's the master lever. Everything else, the pause, the filter, the ritual, it all supports this one shift. When your worth isn't on the line, you can hear feedback clearly. You can learn from it. You can grow. The person who separates work from worth can take brutal feedback and say, this helps me improve. The person who doesn't hears, you're not good enough, and collapses. This is the shift that changes everything. Your work can be flawed. Your worth is not. That's the whole mechanism. And once you internalize it, criticism stops feeling like an attack. It starts feeling like information. Now let's talk about the first 60 seconds after criticism lands. Most people unknowingly destroy their own confidence during this exact window. Think about the average reaction. Instant defensiveness, a sharp reply, replaying the comment, imagining worse comments that haven't even happened yet. Your body may look calm, but your mind is already at war. Then people wonder why they can't shake the feeling. Your brain wasn't designed to go from a sting to full calm in 5 seconds. It needs a transition, a landing strip, a reset sequence. This is where the most resilient people separate themselves from everyone else. They create a ritual, not because it's trendy, because it works. The moment criticism lands, take a breath. Don't reply yet. Ask, is there truth in this? Ask, does this person's opinion actually matter to me? Separate the message from the delivery. Slow everything down. Send a clear signal to your brain, we're not under attack. And when you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. You stop bracing for criticism. Confidence starts finding you. Now let's talk about mornings after a hard hit, because how you start the next day can determine how long the sting actually lasts. The first thing most people do after harsh feedback is replay it first thing in the morning. Notifications, the comment, the memory, all flooding back before their feet even touch the floor. Stress enters before the day even starts. Instead, try something different. Write down one thing the criticism actually taught you, if anything, and one thing that was simply noise. Even just 2 minutes can make a huge difference. Separating truth from noise tells your brain the event is closed. Your internal narrative resets, clarity increases, your mind begins producing the thoughts associated with moving forward instead of looping.
This is one of the simplest habits you can build, and yet it's one of the most powerful. But writing it down isn't the only tool. Action matters too. You don't need a grand comeback. You don't need to prove anyone wrong today. You simply need to keep moving, one small step in the direction you are already headed. Because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Most people wait until they feel confident before taking action. High performers understand the opposite. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. That's the sequence. Action first, confidence follows. Every small step you take after criticism proves to your brain, we're still moving, we're still okay, we survived. That proof compounds. Now, let's talk about your environment. Imagine trying to build confidence surrounded by people who only ever point out flaws. Your mind has to fight those voices all day long. Now imagine the same person in an environment where feedback is constructive, where people want you to grow. Same person, completely different experience. Your environment doesn't just affect your mood, it affects your brain's ability to process feedback rationally. The ideal environment is simple. People who tell you the truth with care, not people who tear you down to feel better about themselves. You don't need to cut everyone out, you just need to know who gets a vote and who doesn't. The people who've earned the right to give you feedback are the ones who've invested in your growth. Everyone else, noise. Curate your environment like your mental health depends on it, because it does. So let's recap the system. The pause gives you space. The source filter gives you clarity. Identity separation protects your worth. Action gives you momentum. This isn't about becoming numb to feedback, it's about rewiring how your brain processes it. The same comment that used to destroy your week now becomes a data point. The same feedback that used to keep you up at night now helps you improve. You were never broken, you were just untrained. Your brain doesn't need to be fixed, it just needs a better system. The pause, the filter, the separation, the action. They work, but only if you use them. The next time criticism lands, don't react. Pause, sort, separate, then decide. Because the goal isn't to avoid criticism, the goal is to let it build you instead of breaking you. If this video gave you a new way to handle feedback, hit like and subscribe to Simple Ways of Life. And let me know in the comments, what's one piece of criticism you're finally ready to let go of? Because if you don't learn to process criticism, it will keep controlling you. The comment will keep haunting you at dinner, in the shower, right when you're trying to fall asleep. You'll keep avoiding feedback. You'll keep shrinking. Not because you're weak, because you never learned the system. But you don't have to live that way anymore. The pause, the filter, the separation, they work, but only if you use them. So here's the question. What's one piece of criticism you're finally ready to let go of? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more systems that help you build a better brain.